I remember you telling me horror stories about some famous people
Hmm.
who did not cover their assets properly.
Sure.
Can you maybe tell the audience one or two horror stories that are, some were amusing, some were horrible?
Absolutely, absolutely. One of them, you say assets, and this celebrity immediately comes to mind, and that's Marilyn Monroe. And Marilyn Monroe, beyond the assets that everyone appreciated her for, had an estate of about $800,000 when she died. Now, back when she died, intellectual property, patents, trademarks, likenesses, things like that, wasn't a big deal. So she felt like she didn't have a huge estate. She didn't have children to leave the estate to. She left everything outright to her acting coach. And that was fine with her, except because it was a will and because it was left outright, the acting coach then got married to a young bride who never met Marilyn Monroe. Those assets, when he died, because he didn't have any estate planning either, went to his wife, then the young girl that he had married. Now she got some good advice, and she put a trust in place. Her grandchildren right now own Marilyn Monroe's estate, which is worth today $30 million, and they sue everybody who uses her likeness. Now they never even met her, and they control the entire estate and are able to sue on behalf of the estate. And that's one of those situations where I always point out to clients, after you're gone, you should still be concerned with who's getting the assets. It shouldn't be someone you never met. It should be a family, a friend, or at least a charity that means something to you. So Marilyn Monroe's a big one. Elvis is another one. Elvis lost 73% of his estate to probate fees and estate tax when he died. Now, Priscilla and Lisa Marie are doing just fine because the royalties to Elvis songs are still playing every day on commercials and TV shows, so they're going to be fine. In fact, a lot of musicians, because of the royalties, even with the mistakes, they ended up okay. But some of the people that were not musicians were not so lucky. Joe Robbie is one that's very famous in South Florida. Joe Robbie was the owner of the Miami Dolphins and Joe Robbie Stadium that he built himself with his own money. Very successful businessman, but for some reason did not have an estate plan in place, did not have life insurance. The rumors were that he had a younger wife and thought that she would just take care of it. Well, she died 3 months after him. The other rumor was that the attorney had the documents ready and just Joe Robbie never got around to signing it. He was too busy. Well, Joe Robbie died in 1990. There was a $47 million estate tax bill. The kids had no liquidity. They just had the team, the stadium, and maybe $10 million. They couldn't deal with the fee that was coming from the IRS. Now, the IRS has no interest in being a partner in an NFL franchise, nor do they have an interest in allowing you a payment plan to pay. You actually have 9 months from the date of death to pay the estate tax. Well, they couldn't come up with $47 million, so Wayne Huizenga, bless his heart, came in, offered a bargain basement price for the team and the stadium, ended up actually selling it, bought the team for $100 million, sold it for $1 billion not too long ago, and even kept a percentage of it. So he's a really shrewd businessman. I guarantee he has an estate plan in place. Joe Robbie's family lost the team, lost the stadium, ended up with a few $1,000,000, which is fine if you didn't start with a net worth of $120 million. And now, even 23 years later, the Dolphins were trying to get funding, city funding, state funding, to renovate the stadium, and are threatening, because they didn't get that funding, to move. So 23 years ago, Joe Robbie failed to put a trust in place, and today the South Florida area could lose its only professional football franchise, the Miami Dolphins, because they're threatening to move. So estate planning affects everybody.